This so-called American legislative, whatever they call that group, Legislative Exchange Council. They have been drawing up these legislations, pieces of legislation like Stand Your Ground. That legislation gives a license for people to be vigilantes. The climate that's being created is not a good climate. And that's why you have these rogue police officers feeling they have license to do what they want to do, and there will be no consequences paid for it.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, that's very unfortunate. Joining us now is Jazz Shaw, editor of HotAir.com, columnist of PJ Media. Hello, Jazz.
Hey, how you doing, bud?
I'm doing well. All right, let's talk a little bit about your piece on the shooting, the horrific shooting, really. It appears by all accounts and all angles, if you will, in South Carolina. Your piece of Bad Cop in South Carolina, and you talk about how you wrote about it, and then the reaction started pouring in.
Oh yeah, I get a lot of reaction from those pieces because I've been following the subject of these shootings very closely. We have a number of different attorneys and law enforcement officials that we've interviewed for our site. The majority of them, as I said in the piece, I tend to give the cops the benefit of the doubt because there's just so many good cops and so few actual bad cops. And it's been proven out time and time again. You look at the Michael Brown thing, even Jonathan Capehart went and was forced to finally write a piece there saying that Hands Up, Don't Shoot was based on a lie. Most of the time, it's a cop in an unfortunate situation that they don't want to be in, and something just goes terribly wrong. And it is, as you say, it's always a tragedy. You don't want somebody to wind up having to die. But most cops are good. They follow the rules, and that's a course of last resort. This case in South Carolina, of course, the officer will have to have his day in court, have to get all the information. But the evidence is pretty damning. That video is just incredibly incriminating. It wasn't just the shooting. It was the casual way afterwards that the officer walked over and picked up, presumably, a taser, moved it, and dropped it next to the body, tampering with the crime scene. Statements that were given about extensive attempts at CPR, caught on film, didn't happen. It looks like, unfortunately, we did find a bad cop, and the guy was just out of line, and now he's been fired, he's been arrested, he's going to go on trial for murder, and that's appropriate if you want to maintain trust and faith in our law enforcement agencies. When you find somebody that's gone completely off the ranch like that, you have to take care of the situation. Absolutely.
And you know, again, once that video surfaced, everything that could have been done and should have been done has been done. So I think rather than, you know, people calling for the mayor to be fired and the police chief to be fired, etc., I think you got to give them a tip of the cap because they've done what they needed to do. Now, I want to make clear that, and I've already said this on the air, but I'll just make clear in this interview because people take every section separately. It looks like this cop is going to rot for a long time, and it looks like he shot a man in cold blood in the back for absolutely no reason. But again, I haven't heard anybody say, and it's I don't know if they're afraid to or what. I don't know why, and we'll never know why the gentleman ran from the police officer. But it's never, and again, this does not justify it. It's not an excuse. It's not a defense. It's nothing. But it's something that people who have encounters with police officers, whenever there's a problem or whenever someone gets hurt or shot, it always stems from somehow, somewhere, the person, you know, hit the cop, ran from the cop. So I'm just saying, use this for the future and never run from a cop.
Don't run from a cop. Don't attack a cop. And particularly, my heart kind of goes out to some of the other policemen on that force who were relaying similar things. This guy was getting pulled over for a busted taillight. And yeah, he had a bench warrant, but it was a bench warrant for back child support. The worst that was going to happen to him was he was going to get another summons and maybe a ticket with a fine or something. It was no reason to go grabbing the cop's taser if he did, or even if he didn't. to be running away from the police. But again, that doesn't excuse it.
Right. No.
There are other cases. I mentioned in the article, we just had one this week. Again, unfortunate, but there was one in northeastern Illinois in the town of Zion, the city of Zion up there, where there was a report of shots fired, and a cop responded, came to the scene, and there was a 17-year-old who was in the midst of conducting an illegal transaction to purchase a handgun, which he had no right to. He had no paperwork, no permit. It was an illegal transaction. He wasn't old enough to have one in the first place. So he was buying a handgun illegally. He tried to steal the handgun from the other individual who was selling it to him without paying for it. That resulted in a tussle. The gun goes off. The police hear it. They respond. And the kid with the gun takes off running after there's already been shots fired. That kid got shot in the back. But there is an exception, even under federal law, that is a suitable case to fire if there's not only potential danger to the cop, but fleeing felon, potential danger to the community.
Right.
There goes somebody that just obtained an illegal handgun.
Right.
And that's a totally different situation.
Absolutely.
In South Carolina.
Absolutely.
South Carolina should not have happened.
Nope.
The one in Illinois, tragic, but don't run from the cops with a handgun.
Two different cases. Jazz, thank you for joining us. I really appreciate it, sir.
Hey, anytime.
All right, Jazz Shaw, ladies and gentlemen, hotair.com. All right, folks, stay tuned for your Max to Health moment. But first, we want to sign you up, in effect. We've restarted our viewer call-in segment here on the Steve Malzberg Show. So if you want to participate, if you want to weigh in on the issues of the day or talk about the show, whatever, you need to contact us in advance. And you do that by emailing us right now at callsteve@newsmax.com. Call Steve at newsmax.com. We'll be in touch with you, and we want to hear from you.